Anxiety is an increasingly common phenomenon in our modern lives, a feeling that can deeply impact how we perceive the world and ourselves. But what if, instead of merely trying to eliminate or avoid anxiety, we could learn to understand it and even transform it? In this video, we're going to explore how this shift in perspective is possible by harnessing the power of spirituality and psychology. At its core, anxiety is a natural response of our body and mind to situations we perceive as threatening. When we feel in danger, whether real or imagined, our nervous system triggers a series of reactions to protect us, alerting us to take precautions. This mechanism is important and even healthy in many contexts, but when anxiety becomes constant, excessive, or appears without a clear reason, it can undermine our quality of life. This is where spirituality plays a role. More than just a set of beliefs, spirituality is a practice of connecting with oneself and something greater. It's a tool that can help us view anxiety differently, not as an enemy to be defeated, but as an aspect of our experience that can teach us something profound about who we are. Throughout this journey, remember that you're not alone. Anxiety is a common experience, but there is a path to transformation. Together, let's explore how spirituality and emotional development can help us find more peace and clarity, creating space for a new way of living and dealing with anxiety. When we look at anxiety closely, it can be seen as a natural alert signal that the brain sends to protect us. From a neuroscientific perspective, we understand that anxiety is strongly connected to the limbic system, the part of the brain that regulates emotions, especially the amygdala, a small structure that acts as an alert center, ready to react whenever it detects a threat. When the amygdala perceives a risk, it sends signals to the body, triggering responses like increased heart rate, muscle tension, and rapid breathing. This is what we call the fight or flight response, which, in many cases, is essential for survival. However, for the anxious mind, this response becomes hypersensitive. Minor stimuli, which many might ignore, are interpreted as threats, causing the amygdala to repeatedly go into action. This is how we often fall into cycles of anxiety, with the brain remaining in a constant state of alert, triggering a series of thoughts and physical reactions that intensify the state of tension. Neuroscience also explains how this constant alert state can lead to a repetitive cycle of anxious thoughts. This excessive activity is fueled by areas of the brain like the prefrontal cortex, which seeks solutions to perceived dangers but becomes stuck in trying to control them, intensifying worry and anxiety. And this is where spirituality can make a powerful contribution. By offering a new perspective, spirituality invites us to slow down brain activity associated with constant vigilance. Spiritual practices, such as meditation or mindful presence, help reduce the amygdala's hyperactivity and calm the nervous system, activating what we call the relaxation response. This conscious practice of being present and observing thoughts without reacting to them reduces the intensity of anxiety and strengthens neurological connections associated with calmness and well-being. Additionally, self-compassion, a fundamental principle of spirituality, calms the brain circuits related to judgment and criticism, bringing more peace when experiencing anxiety. By welcoming our emotions with understanding, we reduce the brain's need to remain in a constant state of defense, helping to build a relationship of acceptance and understanding with anxiety. This welcoming becomes a powerful tool for inner transformation, where, with patience and practice, we learn to respond to anxiety with balance and serenity. Spirituality can be a powerful ally in relieving anxiety, as it provides us with an anchor, a foundation of tranquility that lets us return to a state of peace even when mental chaos threatens to take over. But what exactly is spirituality? In the context of emotional development, we can see it not as a rigid set of beliefs, but as a deeper connection with ourselves and with something beyond our individual identity. It can mean a sense of purpose, a feeling of belonging, or a sense of being present and in harmony with the moment. Many spiritual practices, such as meditation, prayer, or simply contemplation, help us return to the present moment. This state of presence reduces the power of anxious thoughts, allowing us to observe them without fully identifying with them. Rather than getting caught up in anxiety, the individual begins to experience anxiety as just one part of their reality, not the whole of it. This offers a broader perspective, a relief for the mind that, in turn, breaks the cycles of anxiety we discussed earlier. Furthermore, spirituality helps us develop what we call the inner witness, a part of ourselves that observes rather than reacts. This ability to observe emotions without being immediately pulled by them is a powerful practice for managing anxiety. By cultivating this stance, we start to see that anxious thoughts aren't absolute truths, they're simply passing clouds in our mind. This healthy detachment allows us to find clarity and not fully identify with our worries. The practice of presence also fosters a connection to something greater. For many, this connection might be with nature, humanity, belief in a higher power, or even a sense of purpose and values. Feeling connected to something that transcends individual difficulties brings relief, reminding us that life is bigger than any moment of anxiety. This connection opens space for an inner trust, a sense of security that isn't based on external conditions but rather on inner peace. Finally, spirituality encourages the practice of acceptance. Instead of fighting against anxiety or feeling guilty for experiencing it, we can embrace it as a natural emotion, a part of the human experience. Acceptance reduces internal conflict, easing the resistance and reactions that heighten emotional discomfort. This embrace isn't resignation, it's a compassionate attitude toward oneself. By accepting anxiety as part of our journey, we're better able to approach it constructively and balancedly. Often, we think of anxiety as an enemy we need to eliminate. But spirituality and psychology, when integrated, offer a new way to relate to anxiety. Rather than viewing it as something to defeat, this combined approach teaches us to welcome it as a messenger, a signal that something within us needs attention and care. This new perspective not only lessens anxiety's intensity but also transforms how we handle it, fostering deeper emotional growth. Spiritual psychology, or integrative psychology, combines psychological tools, such as analyzing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, with a broader vision that connects to purpose, awareness, and spirituality. It helps us recognize that our anxious thoughts and emotions don't define who we are but are aspects of a larger, more complex human experience. One of the first steps in transforming our relationship with anxiety is developing emotional self-awareness. With self-knowledge, we can identify thought patterns that trigger anxiety, such as limiting beliefs or unconscious fears. Here, spirituality expands our perspective by helping us see that we are more than these thoughts and feelings. It offers an inner space, a safe foundation where we can observe our anxious thoughts more calmly and compassionately. This process of emotional self-awareness, combined with spiritual acceptance, enables us to reframe anxiety. Instead of viewing it as a flaw or weakness, we can interpret it as a guide highlighting areas of insecurity, unresolved pain, or beliefs that limit our potential. This reframing transforms our relationship with anxiety, making it less combative and more compassionate. Spirituality also teaches us the practice of non-judgment. Rather than criticizing ourselves for being anxious or trying to block difficult emotions, we learn to welcome what arises in the mind with openness and kindness. This acceptance, a core principle of many spiritual traditions, eases emotional pressure and reduces the suffering associated with anxiety. When we allow ourselves to experience anxiety without resistance, we begin to understand that it's a temporary part of a greater, more peaceful reality always present within us. In moments of anxiety, we often seek a sense of control or security in external circumstances. Yet, we know this control is limited, and external factors don't always bring the stability we seek. In this context, spirituality can become an inner source of strength, offering a sense of peace and security that doesn't rely on external factors. This is crucial for balancing an anxious mind, which often clings to the need for control. When we find a spiritual foundation, we develop an inner anchor, a connection to something greater than momentary worries. This support allows us to face moments of anxiety with greater calm and confidence. Spirituality teaches us that, despite difficulties, there is a center of peace within us that remains intact, regardless of circumstances. This inner stability is the foundation for genuine inner balance. Moreover, this spiritual connection strengthens emotional resilience, the ability to remain grounded even in the face of challenges and emotional ups and downs. By trusting our inner strength, we become less susceptible to anxious thoughts, as we see that they are just one part of our experience, not its entirety. Spirituality reminds us that, like storms, moments of anxiety also pass. A fundamental aspect of emotional resilience is trusting the process of personal growth. Spirituality encourages us to embrace this journey, accepting that ups and downs are part of it. This acceptance helps us view moments of anxiety as temporary growth stages, not as permanent obstacles. Over time, we begin to trust the path, learning to welcome anxiety without fear, recognizing it as part of our transformation and self-discovery. Spirituality offers tools for developing a gentler, more balanced relationship with anxiety, promoting acceptance and non-judgment and encouraging presence in the moment. With the support of spiritual psychology, we learn to see anxiety in a new light, as a messenger highlighting areas that need attention and care. This new perspective allows us to face our anxious feelings with greater serenity and to build emotional resilience that helps us navigate life's challenges with more balance. The strength to deal with anxiety is already within you. With patience, self-compassion, and an openness to exploring new perspectives, you can find more calm and balance in your life. Spirituality and self-awareness can be valuable guides on this journey, reminding you that even in the most challenging moments, peace is something you can achieve, little by little.